lot of stuff going on. Yesterday at 4 p.m., that would have been Tuesday, January 3rd at 4 p.m., I took the time to watch C-SPAN to watch. And you know what? I don't know that I've ever watched an entire vote in the House because it takes a while and it's a little bit annoying. But the conclusion of that vote, 20 Republicans decided to vote for Jim Jordan for Speaker of the House, despite the fact that Jim Jordan has said, I don't want to be Speaker of the House, despite the fact that Jim Jordan nominated Kevin McCarthy 3 times to be Speaker of the House. He still got those votes. The entire Democratic caucus voted for Hakeem Jeffries. He got more votes than Kevin McCarthy did. Now, the way it works is you need a majority of the people who vote in any given vote. Now, if, let's say, all of the, let's say, I don't know, 4 or 5 Republicans couldn't be seated. That was the case that we had in Pennsylvania, actually. There were 3 Democrats who couldn't be seated in the state house there. 1 had died. 2 couldn't make it. I think
they were promoted to.
They were promoted into the state house. So these things happen. Had 5 Republicans not been able to vote, I think you would have seen Hakeem Jeffries would have been the speaker. It's still possible that Hakeem Jeffries ends up the speaker. It's also possible that some unknown Republican becomes the speaker. It is really unclear what's happening right now. But this is what happened yesterday at 4 p.m. at the end of that vote.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Oklahoma rise?
Move to adjourn until noon tomorrow.
The question is on the motion.
The question is on the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. All those opposed, no.
All those opposed, no.
The ayes have it.
The ayes have it.
Motion is adopted.
The motion is adopted. The House stands adjourned until noon tomorrow.
Now, that wasn't the end of the actual vote. That was the vote on the motion to adjourn. But at the end, she says we still don't have a Speaker of the House on the actual vote for the Speaker of the House. They have reconvened today, just literally minutes ago. And the plan for the Republicans was to adjourn again and figure this out. Why? Because their repeated inability to elect a Speaker of the House is an incredible embarrassment to them. And beyond that, one of the things I do every morning is listen to sort of normie radio, music radio, actually, just to see what the AP is reporting at the top and the bottom of the hours. I can tell you, I've been doing this for years, and the number of times they talk about anything that has happened in Congress, I think I can count on one hand. The AP ran with this story over and over again. Republicans in disarray. And this is not great for their party at this point. And it's also unclear what it is that they want from McCarthy. I mentioned this yesterday. There is no ideological fight here. They have no agenda. This is the other thing why, like, as bad as it is for the Republicans, one could imagine that if there was an urgent agenda for them to attend to or expectation, it would be that much worse. But there is none. They don't have the ability to pass any meaningful legislation. The only thing that they're going to do is essentially start investigative hearings into Hunter Biden's penis. And that is not urgent. It is not going anywhere. The pictures remain. But the suggestion that this could have been done in 2020, when there was an urgent need for a $3 trillion rescue package for the American public, which involved extended unemployment insurance. It involved a $1,400 payment directly to Americans. It involved child tax credits, health insurance, on and on and on. There were people calling for 5 Democrats to do this in 2020. They would have been totally eviscerated. I mean, here, put up, even Ben Shapiro gets this. And he knows that there's nothing for the Republicans to do anyways. Play this.
All righty, well, we are now in the midst of day 2 of Kevin McCarthy's attempt to become House Speaker. And here's the wonderful thing about politics. If you watch it as a tragedy, it's really sad. But if you watch it as a comedy, it's actually super duper funny. And right now, what is happening? It's funny mainly because the stakes are so low. Let's be real about this. The stakes for the speakership of the House are incredibly low at this point because all the leader of the House basically has to do is say no to most of Joe Biden's proposals. There are certain things that the Speaker of the House, no matter who it is not going to do. Those things include an interminable government shutdown with no end. And I know that there are some people who think that if you get a conservative enough leader in the speakership of the House, that person is just never going to sign a check ever again as Speaker of the House. That is not going to happen because that would be political suicide. This has been proven over the course of the last 10 years, repeatedly, overtly, over and over and over again. So that's not going to happen. Then there's the question as to whether Kevin McCarthy is going to surrender more often than another alternative conservative leader.
I mean, we don't even need to. I mean, the point being is that the stakes are so low for the Republicans, and yet you see the entire Republican, conservative operation, and they don't even like Kevin McCarthy. I don't know what Kevin McCarthy polls at for Republicans, but it's not particularly high. And yet they see this as a tremendous embarrassment and that it is hurting them politically. And there is no urgency. There are no material stakes. Whereas when the Democrats were facing this, there were huge material stakes, on top of which Nancy Pelosi's favorability rating with Democrats at that time, I would guess, somewhere around 20 points higher than it is with Kevin McCarthy amongst Republicans. And so to compare whether Democrats could have done
McCarthy earned, this is from December, Washington Post, McCarthy earned the approval of 46% to 49% disapproval.
Yeah, I mean, so you had, and Nancy Pelosi, I don't know if she's ever dipped below 60% with Democrats. I may not like that, you may not like that, but that's just the fact. That goes into the calculus. And can you imagine if any 5 Democrats did this for the purpose of holding a vote where Medicare for All would lose 275, 285, maybe close to 300 to, well, it would be more. It would be 310 to 120. The Medicare for All would lose that vote. It would have been a disaster. So sit back, enjoy the Republican, because I honestly have no idea how this ends. Kevin McCarthy is going to have to step away at one point, it seems, but I don't know who's going to replace him. I mean, do you think Steve Scalise, the former KKK guy, is the guy?
David Duke without the baggage.
Yeah, I should clarify. He himself was not in the KKK, to our knowledge. He simply had said, "I'm David Duke without the baggage." Yeah. When he was first campaigning. Do you think the Republicans who got elected in California and New York, who make up the difference of the Republican lead right now, are excited to have a guy who is David Duke without the baggage? Because for the vast majority of the country, David Duke is the baggage. They may put Jim Jordan in. I mean, I can't imagine the Democrats wanting anybody better than Jim Jordan, because Kevin McCarthy is going to do exactly what Jim Jordan would do. But he's going to, he's going to presumably have done it because he was forced to do it. And the media would report it that way. He's being held hostage. Mm-hmm. He has no choice. Yeah. But he would do exactly what Jim Jordan would do, except for Jim Jordan would be reported on as doing it because he wants to do it. And then we could also talk about how this guy, and we'll talk more about this later in the program, how this guy refused to help students that were coming to him saying we're being molested.